Maybe I could be a new Avenger. The Tin Man. Dun 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 dun. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Jamie Hughes Show. My name as always is Jamie Hughes, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about Avengers Infinity War, and more specifically 5 questions I have after seeing the movie. Now these were questions that I thought about during the film, once I left the film, and they've kind of stewed on me for a few days, so I wanted to record this video and kind of ask these questions to you guys, but also, hang on a sec, pop my tinfoil hat on and throw some theories at you guys as well. So yeah, there's going to be 5 questions. As always, they are going to be very, very spoilerish because a lot of things happen during the events of Infinity War, and a few of these are very spoiler related. So here's your official spoiler warning for this video. But let's jump into it, and these are my 5 questions I have after watching Infinity War. So first up, I want to ask the question of where were Korg and Valkyrie during Infinity War? Now, obviously, Thor Ragnarok ends with them on the refugee ship, wondering where to go. Thanos' ship appears, and then Infinity War starts directly after the events of Thor Ragnarok. They are on the ship, and only Loki and Thor and, I forget his name, Idris Elba's character, are kind of the only big survivors that we see. We see no sign of Valkyrie or Korg in that scene or throughout this movie. Now, it's very possible that they escaped and they used an escape pod and got away, and it has been confirmed in the past couple of days that Valkyrie is alive by the Russo brothers. They kind of answered a lot of fan questions, and this was one of them. But I just kind of wanted to know where they were, because they weren't really alluded to in this film. I know Hawkeye and Ant-Man are both not featured in this movie, but there was a line which kind of confirmed where they were and almost confirmed their involvement in Avengers 4, but we just didn't get anything about Valkyrie and Korg. So it'll be really interesting to see how, now that Valkyrie is alive, and hopefully Korg's alive, because Korg is an absolute boy. And do you know what? It's my video. I'm going to do my terrible Korg impression for you now, guys. So you ready to be blown away by this? Hello, my name is Korg. I'm kind of the leader around here. I'm made of rocks. You don't have to be scared about me. Not unless you're a pair of scissors. See, I told you it was awful, but I just wanted to do it. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how those characters all tie in to Avengers 4. Next up, I mentioned this theory in my spoiler review of Avengers Infinity War, but I just wanted to reissue the point here. And that is, why did Doctor Strange give up the Time Stone? Because as I mentioned in my spoiler review, shameless plug there once again, he is stereotypically, Doctor Strange is a very selfish character. We saw that in his movie, and we saw it a lot in Infinity War as well. There's even a line in very, very early on into this film where he says, if I have to choose between protecting the Time Stone or, you know, saving Peter Parker or Tony Stark, I'm going to pick the Time Stone every single time. But then for him to give the Time Stone away so easily, in a very nonchalant way, he was like, oh yeah, if I give you this, are you not going to kill Tony Stark? It seemed very odd because there was no real connection between those two characters. Yes, they spent a lot of the time together, but there was no real spark or connection or any reason for Doctor Strange to do that. But I do have a theory on this once again, and that is that there is a line in this movie as well where Doctor Strange says that he's skipped forward in time and he's seen 14 million different scenarios of how all of this battle is going to go down, and he only sees one scenario where the Avengers win. Now, does that carry on from that, and the fact that in the scenario that he sees where the Avengers win, it does entail Thanos not having one Soul Stone, not one Infinity Stone, but having all of the Infinity Stones? So is that the reason why he gave up the stone? I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that one, as always, down in the comments below. Next up, for purely selfish reasons, I want to know what happened to Shuri. She was the only character that we didn't see either live or die. The last time we saw her, she was kind of fighting off a couple of Thanos' CGI army in the laboratory where she was trying to take the Mind Stone out of Vision's head, and that was the last we saw of Shuri. We didn't see whether she was killed, or disappeared, or taken, or whether she survived. So this is a really short one. I want to know what happened to Sherry, because she is such an awesome character, and for her not to have any sort of resolution in this movie, hopefully it means she's going to have a more prominent role in Avengers 4, and hopefully she did survive that mass culling. Next up, this one really kind of chewed at me for a while, and it's a really kind of interesting plot point that they had during Infinity War, and that was, why won't the Hulk come out? Because Banner tries to summon him a lot in this movie, and we see very small glimpses and little snippets of him, but it's mostly when he's trying to resist Banner, and because the Hulk doesn't want to come out anymore. And I thought this was really interesting. It was a really interesting plot point, and it was a really interesting, nice bit of character development, because obviously in the events of Thor Ragnarok, Bruce Banner has been the Hulk for around 2 years. And in Thor Ragnarok, he's really scared to go back to being the Hulk, because he doesn't think he's ever going to come back from it. Obviously, he eventually does, and, you know, everything's kind of nice and happy. But then, in Infinity War, at no point is the Hulk ever featured. Now, why is the Hulk resisting Banner? It's a really interesting one, because I'm not totally sure why. Is he scared about what might happen to the Hulk? Does he think that he's too weak to fight Thanos, and he doesn't want to, you know, lose or possibly die, and then the connection between him and Banner is lost forever? Or is there something in play with, you know, Black Widow? Because obviously the only time that we see the Hulk really be calm is around Black Widow. I say in Thor Ragnarok, that's where for the first time in 2 years he kind of goes back to Eric Banner, because he sees the hologram of Black Widow. So is it something to do with that? It's really interesting to see, and it'll be interesting to see how that story develops going into Avengers 4. And finally, I have to ask the question, are half of the Avengers really dead? Now, this movie ends obviously with Thanos getting control of all the Infinity Stones on the Infinity Gauntlet. He clicks his fingers and poof, half of the universe is gone, including the majority of the Avengers. More specifically, a lot of the new Avengers. A lot of the OG Avengers did survive, but it was really interesting to see that dynamic where they all kind of faded away. And I do kind of have a theory on this, that they're not actually dead, and it's Thanos manipulating kind of every other surviving Avenger with the Reality Stone, and he has kind of not killed them, but he's moved them away, and they're not all dead. He's keeping them prisoner for some other grand plan. Maybe he's going to try and turn that half of the Avengers against the other Avengers, and he's going to try and use them as his minions. Maybe he's going to try and make a new Black Order. It's really interesting to see what happens with that, because it was such a shocking moment, because, you know, you killed off half the Avengers and they left it on a very big cliffhanger, a la Walking Dead style, at the end of season 6 going into season 7, which was a masterstroke in my opinion, because, you know, you've got people like me making videos about Avengers Infinity War. But it's going to be really interesting to see that dynamic, because personally I don't think they're dead, and it's kind of sad that, you know, that the reason for this is that we know a lot of the characters that died have already got upcoming movies. Now, that would be a very good marketing ploy by Marvel to announce movies that don't actually happen, a la Spider-Man Homecoming 2, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 has now been announced. Surely there's a Black Panther 2 in the works, you know, and there's a lot of other characters there that were taken that, you know, could have other movies and have a bigger role to play. So it'll be really interesting to see, as I said, where that story goes in Avengers 4. So those have been my 5 questions that I really want answering more than anything, and I can't wait to see what happens in Avengers. I keep saying Infinity War 2, but it's not. It's Avengers 4 at this moment in time. So let me know what you thought about all of my theories, as always, down in those comments below. And let me know if you have any questions of your own that you would like maybe answering, and we can all help each other down in the comments. Maybe we can, you know, release some of that anger and sadness we've still got pent up from the effects of Avengers Infinity War, as always, down in those comments below. And if you did enjoy this video and you want to keep up to date with all the latest movie news and reviews, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the very next episode of The Jamie Hughes Show. Ta-ra!